Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, what's up, Zach? All right, so we are live. I'm going to do a little intro for you and
Nice.
get started. So,
Right away.
what's up, fellas? What's up, team? Welcome back to the Pokemon Radar podcast. We are at episode 11. Fantastic. Today we have a very special guest, somebody that was a big part in getting me back into Pokemon, and I consider a good friend of mine. Today we have probably one of the most legendary collectors, at least in my mind, in the Pokemon world. We have GemMintPokemon. What is going on, Zach? How you doing, brother?
What's up, man? How are you? Good to see you, PokemonRadar.
Good,
I just pulled
good.
up your Twitch stream. Looks good. Looks good. It's been a while.
Fantastic.
I haven't seen you since DC last year.
Yeah, it's been quite some time. Yeah, I'm just checking the volume levels here, make sure we're still good. Looks good on my end. I'm gonna pull up your Instagram as well. You know, I like to kind of fiddle through things as I go through my conversations here. I might even throw one of your YouTube videos in the background as well. Um, but yeah, let's see. Make sure I pull up everything. I'm very unprofessional with all this. All right, beautiful. Well, yeah. So, yeah, we haven't seen each other since, like you said, 2019 Worlds. Which again, I'm still waiting on the
The
vlog.
video.
Yeah.
So those of you guys that don't know, what I did was I made this massive like vlog for the whole world, and the goal was to cut it to like a 10-minute video and show like 15 to like 30-second segments, and just really chop it up. And in this vlog, I have a video of PokemonRadar pulling a base Charizard like from like an unweighed pack. It's like insane.
Oh,
So
that
at some point,
yeah.
I gotta chop that up and post that.
Yeah, that was definitely one of the best moments. But speaking of Worlds, that was the first time we met. Not the 2019, but we met in 2017 in Anaheim.
Yeah.
That was the first time we ever met, and I wanted to kind of dive in first on kind of our relationship in Pokemon, and how that all got started for us. Um, I mean, obviously, I hear this a lot from people. You're one of the guys that kind of attracted a lot of people back into the hobby with your YouTube videos, and that's how I kind of discovered Pokemon and really fell in love with it again was your YouTube. I mean, you had a lot of content out there. What, 5 years ago or so?
Yeah, something like that. And I really appreciate you say something like that. And a lot of people reach out all the time, either on eBay or YouTube. They say, "Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate you getting me back in the hobby." And like for me, I like connecting with the hobby and just being passionate about what we collect and all that. I
Hmm.
was I really struggled with putting my sets together. It was really hard to find those cards out there. So I started creating content literally to meet other people. And I didn't realize the impact it was having until people started reaching back out to me. And so hearing that feedback from you, it's always very encouraging.
Yeah, and I mean the beautiful thing about your stuff and why I think it resonated with so many people was the way that you handled your cards, the way that you were opening packs and talking about it. I mean, this was at a time where PSA with Pokemon really started to finally get popular, and watching pack openings on YouTube, people were just going through the cards, whatever it was, but you could see the care and love you had for them by the way you talked about the cards and the way you were handling them. And that's something that really got me onto understanding the value in Pokemon and what it could be. So the education on that end was big for me, watching your stuff.
Yeah, I think you always you watch people handle cards and you're like, ah, just be careful, man. Like you kind of like cringe a little bit, and you're like, how could you not sleeve it? And it's like it's a hollow. Watch the edges, and you have all these particulars. And one thing I remember was watching people handle PSA cases, and I'm like, oh, don't clink them around. Don't they're fragile. Be careful.
Hmm.
And then you get so many of them like in front of you, and you're like, oh, you're like barely setting it down, and there's like a clink or clack or whatever. And you're kind of you're like, ah, it's not that big of a deal. And so over time, you do become a little bit more at ease with some of that stuff, but I think just a special care and attention for something you spent so much time putting together, I think is to be valued.
Yeah, and I mean that was one of the big reasons that got me into looking at Pokemon as an investment more so than a hobby, was seeing, that thought and care that you were putting into things, and then that just snowballed to finding everyone else's content and what they were collecting. I remember when I first started with Pokemon, I was watching your videos. I was watching TCA. I was watching all the guys out there. And I reached out to a number of them, about things, asking questions. And you were very responsive and very open to talking with me about things through Instagram. And it was great. I mean, without that, I never would be where I am today. I mean, number one, with the education you were providing for me, but also when I first started, like everyone, we're flipping, we're trying to make money, we're trying to build, and you were someone that I was able to sell to almost like without buying something, because I felt I got lucky. I fell into a place where I was getting a lot of product, and I was selling it to you, and I was giving to you at good prices at the time too.
You had a pretty epic find though. You had what was it, like a couple like 100 Japanese packs.
Yeah.
Like Team Rocket Gym Challenge, and I was like, oh my gosh, like you were getting them faster than I could buy them. I was like, dude, like
right,
just slow down a little bit, man.
Yeah.
I was like, I want to pick some of these up, but that's what's cool about sort of putting yourself out there and engaging in the hobby is you meet all these people, and when you can connect the dots, it really makes it much more worthwhile.
Right, and that was such a big thing for me, building that relationship with you, and then finally meeting you in person to really, extend that, and it's allowed me to grow in other areas. And I mean, by that time, you had pretty much almost finished your main goals, so it was like I wasn't finding specific things for you, but yeah, I was finding good stuff, and you were able to keep me going. And then, like you said, once I hit that point where I was moving too fast for you to buy it all, that's when I realized, like, oh, I should probably be holding on to some of this stuff. I could, set it aside and let it grow instead of constantly moving it. So,
dude, I spent my morning talking with TCA Gaming, Rusty. We were texting back and forth most of the morning, and we were just talking about the market and kind of just going over like things that have changed. And I was telling him, I was like, man, there's no way I could have the goals that I have today if I were just starting out today. It's just the demand that's out there. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think we got lucky the time we got in, and we were able to sort of buy a lot of stuff that was available. And it's like in today's market, there's just hardly any availability for the more desirable items.
Right. And yeah, that's something that I think I missed out on by just maybe a year or two. But so going back, what was your original goal when you got back into the hobby? Let's go even further back. Let's go to 1999. You're a little bit older than me. I think maybe you're like 28, 29 or something, 30.
Yeah, I'm 28.
Yeah, so 2 years older than me. You grew up in the Midwest.
Mm-hmm. I moved a lot growing up. I moved every like 2 or 3 years.
Okay.
And so I think moving around, it lets you meet a lot of other people, really see personalities. And what's crazy is I'd meet certain people in different like states, and they would be the exact same person, but they would just have they'd have a different body, all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like everyone sort of fits in their category. So I think it really helped me build up my ability just to meet people and just kind of run with it. Just pretty easygoing, free spirited.
Okay, so when you're moving around, what was the first exposure to Pokemon back in the day when you were 9, 10, however old?
I'd say it was like 8, maybe 1999. And then my grandma, she bought some Pokemon packs, and I think it was like base set was out, but you could not find base set anywhere. We'd go to Books A Million, we'd go to Toys R Us. Those were like, still in business back then.
Mm-hmm.
And you literally would find Jungle and Fossil, and that was it. And so it was primarily Jungle that we'd find, and you really had no exposure base set. And so I convinced my dad to go on eBay for 1999 Christmas to buy Charizard on eBay. So that was like one of my first exposures to actually using eBay. And that's how I got my first Charizard. I think it was like a Charizard Blastoise Venusaur listing he bid on. That was like my Christmas gift for that year. And then I remember my grandma for that same Christmas, she bought me like 20 Jungle Packs, which I was thrilled. I couldn't believe I even got Pokemon. It was like the highlight of Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember pulling the no symbol hollows, and I didn't know what they were because I couldn't put the sets together because they didn't have the set symbol, but like the numbers are different. And I remember rearranging my binder a few times, like these don't fit. Like it was so confusing, and I was like, why can I not figure this out? And lo and behold, 20 years later, like no symbol jungle is like one of my go-to. It's like probably one of my favorite sets. So
Yeah,
As a
yeah.
kid, you just don't really, understand quite as much, but you certainly have a passion for it, and that's pretty evident.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, and yeah, that's if I ever find no symbol, I know to go straight to you and see if you want it. So that's something
Yeah,
for
it's
everyone out there. If you find no symbol, just hit up Gem Mint Pokemon. He's usually buying.
it's getting harder to buy, man. I mean,
Yeah.
I bought up enough that the prices sort of changed, and now I'm like, I got to hold off a little bit, let the prices settle back down.
Yeah, I mean, you made actually probably one of the biggest no symbol purchases over Worlds. I don't know if you want to dive into that, but um,
Which one was that?
didn't you buy a
Uh,
bunch from Gary?
I did buy a bunch from Gary. I think we did that deal in December of 2018,
Okay.
and then I think I recorded that in like January of 2019. I think I posted it. I posted it when we were at Worlds. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So I didn't actually tell anyone until Worlds. So like
hmm
6 months later.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's, and I think if that set blows up, you'll be flying high. You'll be doing well.
Yeah,
But
it's just you have like collection goals and sets. Then eventually, when you start completing those goals, like how else like can you like stay engaged with the hobby?
right.
And so what I'm doing is I'm just buying a few doubles of cards I really like. So I
hmm
like Jungle Jolteon. I like Expedition Mew. I like Expedition Mewtwo. I think they just got like really cool artworks.
hmm
And so what I'll do is I have like certain prices, and if they fall below that price, I'll pick them up. But what usually happens is when I try to like maintain a price like that, it usually just goes up. And so a lot of times they sell for above like what I'd buy them for anyway. So
Okay.
it's been harder to buy doubles like that. But there's probably a very small like handful of cards I'll buy doubles like that.
Yeah. So, was there a point in the childhood where you stopped collecting Pokemon? Do you remember what sets or how deep you got into Pokemon as a kid?
Yeah, it was right when Yu-Gi-Oh came out, because when Yu-Gi-Oh came out, that was like the next big thing.
hmm
And my friends had it, and I was like, Blue Eyes White Dragon, it's so cool. And then you had like Gate Guardian and like these cards that like again with Yu-Gi-Oh was like not obtainable. You really got the basic cards, but you couldn't really find the like the chase cards. And when all my friends were getting into that, I really kind of like Pokemon Go, because I remember when the Gym series came out, it was kind of like too much. It was like it was venturing away from the simple artworks and all that.
hmm
And so I found more of a passion in Yu-Gi-Oh at the time, and then I collected Yu-Gi-Oh pretty much through middle school, probably like seventh, eighth grade. Then I sort of, you get into sports and girls and other teenage boy things, and
hmm
you kind of drop off. And I really didn't get back in to anything until after I stepped away from college for a little bit.
Okay.
And so there was a big gap there in the middle.
Yeah.
Whereas guys like Scott and Gary are just buying up the whole way through, and you're like, oh man. But I mean, I had no money in college. Like I had no money in high school. I just like I wouldn't have been able to buy anything if I tried. So it
Right.
would have been very very hard.
Okay. Yeah. So very similar story to most of us. Get out of college, get a job, start buying stuff when you can.
Yeah.
So when you got back in, and I mean, I would still consider you kind of an early adopter with this stuff. Um, when you got back in, what was like the first thing that grabbed your attention? What got you back into it? You said Pokemon Go, but you were into it before that, right?
Yeah. So like a little history, like with me, I went to college for 3 years, and then after my junior year, I needed some money. I really couldn't afford to go back to college for senior year, so I took a year off of school to work, and I worked pretty much in a hospital. They were teaching me how to use like EMRs and like things like that. And towards the end of that year, I saved up like 10K, and it was entry level job, and I was like ready to go back to school. And I started looking up Pokemon, and I was looking up base set hollows like first edition. I thought they were around $100 at the time for like PSA 9. The tens were a little out of reach for me. I couldn't justify spending like two or $300.
Mm-hmm.
And so I bought a couple PSA 9 hollows, and I spent maybe three or $400. I was like, all right, going for a set would be pretty cool. I didn't have a Charizard. I was literally just sort of piecing the set together, and that's what started all of it. And then what really catapulted it was that job that I had ended in like September or so, and then I had like 3 or 4 months where I was kind of waiting to go back to school, trying to figure things out. And then I got really, really lucky with the job where I basically became like an independent consultant for like a large hospital, and I had a really, really good wage. And they basically convinced me not to go back to school to work for them at like this hourly rate. And I didn't even believe them, and I ended up taking the job. And then I did that for about 5, 6 years, where really I was making way above what I should have been. and I put most of that money back into Pokemon, and
Hmm.
that's what allowed my goals and my scope, my collection to really like grow over time, and it sort of developed into what it is today. And then I think a decent bit of people know that not last year, but the year before last, I went back to school to finish my senior year, so I finally got my undergrad, and now I'm in like more of a like a career job at this point. So
Hmm.
I've had my
Gotcha.
current job for about 13 months or so.
Yeah, I mean, just taking the opportunities that were open to you. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. I mean, that's what you go to school for, is to get a job like that. And like you said, if you're getting paid what you
Yeah.
more or what you expected to make after finishing college, why not just leave and take it? You can always go back to school. So,
Yeah, and I
um,
mean, I was funneling a ton of that money back into Pokemon. So, like for instance, like I remember one time a case of Aquapolis hit eBay, and I had like 2 or 3 extra $1,000 in my bank account. So I was like, all right, I bought 2 boxes for like $300 each. It's like,
wow.
okay, I'm not gonna buy them all, but I spent $600. Like, all right, that's a good bit of money. I'm gonna hold off. I mean, last year I sold those for between like 7.5 and 8,000 each. So like the return is like insane.
Yeah.
But at the same time, looking back, it's like, dude, why'd you buy the whole case? You probably would
Right.
have shipped it in the case. It would have been sealed. And so there's a lot of those like if and but. But I mean, at the time, I was trying to be like sensitive to like where I was in life and kind of the funds I had available, and then also my own like collection goals.
Hmm.
And I think one thing I did that was really, really helpful was I never really opened too much product, because then
Oh,
I would
really?
keep
Okay.
things sealed and I would hold on to it. But I wasn't like cracking boxes left and right. I opened a few that I shared with other people, but
Hmm.
for the most part, like holding all that stuff is really what's helped me out, like to
Yeah,
this point.
I remember seeing in some of your videos and talking with you, you would always have like sealed product of a set you were trying to collect. Um, but you were always good at going out and finding mint copies of cards, whether it was at a local game shop or through one of your connections, or just scouring through eBay. So that's interesting because I talked with PokeRev and some other guys on some previous podcasts, and they talk about the incredible amounts of sealed product they opened because it was just making them money. But obviously, looking back at it now, if they had held all that, their returns probably would have been better today with the way that sealed product has moved.
Yeah, and I didn't always make the best like business decisions when it came to like making money and developing the YouTube and doing the AdSense and putting the links in each of the videos, and,
Hmm.
and like driving like that part of it. A lot of what I did was really just collection focused. It was that passion for the hobby. It was like I have certain goals and I want to do what I can to achieve those goals. And yeah, Gym Heroes first edition was like $300, and first edition PSA 10 Hollows are going for anywhere between like 50 and $100, and you could crack boxes and churn money all day. But like things like that didn't align with my goals. Like when it made sense to like profit off some of these things, I would do that. But there are a lot of things I could have done that would have been much better to me financially, that didn't necessarily take those steps. So I think you regret it a little bit, but at the same time, it's like like why are you doing the hobby? What drives you to do this? And to me, this is like a step away from reality. And there's a lot of good
Hmm.
people here, a lot of good relationships. So I think as long as you are happy with what you're doing, it doesn't always have to be what brings the most value back to you.
Right, right, and that, I mean, that's something that's tough to justify today because of the prices. So people trying to get back into the hobby now really have to be conscious of that. I mean, unless they're very well off, but yeah, with the prices like they are today, you have to be very good at budgeting and staying in your lane basically, and trying to grow. Um, yeah, unfortunately, we kind of missed out on that opportunity. But you like you said, having a focused goal and doing what you enjoy brought you this this great success with Pokemon. And yeah, I mean, that's something people should still be doing today, is buying what they want, buying what they enjoy. But they just I think they need to have a better sense of the market, and understanding how the end game will work.
Yeah. And I mean, my favorite thing is meeting new people and like hearing their stories, So
Hmm.
like when we go to Worlds, it's like we have like a year's worth of stories that we haven't like talked about with everyone. So it's like you, Swopoke, it's like PFM and even Sub Asset when he shows up, and if we can get
Yeah.
Poco and Master 556 out there, and we just talk about all these things that happen, and it's like I'll hear of a deal that comes through, and it's like, oh, that's really cool, and then someone will chime up like, oh yeah, I bought that, and it's like, no way. And so it's like the community is so much smaller than like what you think. I mean, like small world.
Hmm.
There are a ton of other people out there and stuff too, but it's just it's like hearing like the stories all come together. That's I think that's like the coolest part. Is just what did you guys go through? What did you build in your collection? Did you have a good pull? Did you pull that base set Charizard? Which, by the way, there was more than one base set Charizard pulled at Worlds last year from a pack. Just totally unprecedented. It was really cool.
Yeah, I had brought 5 heavy packs, and there was 4 of us. There was me, you, Swopoke, and June SM Black,
Yeah.
and we were like, hey, we got to do something together, have a moment. Like you said, those moments are the most memorable things, in this hobby, is sharing those with you guys. So I laid out the packs, had each of you pick one, and out of those 5 packs, we pulled. You had the Magneton.
Yeah.
Slowpoke had a Ninetales.
Yeah.
SM Black pulled a Hitmonchan, and then I pulled the Charizard. And then the 5th pack, which I ended up selling to Pack Fresh Charizard on Instagram, he pulled the Charizard out of that pack. So 2 out of 5 packs of Charizard. It was unbelievable.
Cannot believe it. And think of we were all in the group, and the 3 of us you open packs with, like none of us, like we had like the best odds, and we didn't even know it.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. And well, going back to 2017 in Anaheim, which I think I missed out on, you purchased what 3 packs from a guy that opened a box, right? And opened. Would you pull?
Yeah, so I had a set of box toppers, like Expedition and Aquapos. They were like in okay condition, like excellent condition, and I traded it to this guy who had an open base set booster box, and like people give me a hard time about this, but I can literally like hold packs in my hand, and sometimes someone feel a little heavier,
Mm-hmm.
and so I told him I was like, I don't want to pick the packs, you pick the packs for me. Like I don't want to touch it because there might be some bias, and you just want to keep things fair. So he pulls 4 packs, and 3 of them had hollows, and one of the hollows was Charizard, which is really cool.
Yeah, I think you pulled Charizard, Blastoise, and Nidoking.
Yeah, I think it was. I
Something
think it
like
might have
that.
been Venusaur. So I think it was
Okay.
Charizard, Venusaur, Nidoking, and then
Okay.
maybe like an Electabuzz or something.
Yeah, yeah. So there's been some epic pulls at Worlds. Looking forward to see what happens with in London if anyone brings something crazy.
Are you gonna go to London?
I am. I am. I booked my hotel. I just have to figure out the flight and what I'm doing around that time, or probably beforehand. So
Yeah, I'm a little nervous about a 9-hour flight. I can do 2 or 3 hour flights like cake, but 9 hours is it's quite a long time. So
yeah, you
I can
just
usually watch 2.5 movies. So when you start getting to the third movie, it's like I can't quite you just like, gotta get out of this plane, man. Like killing
yeah,
me.
yeah. It's tough. You got to be very conscious of watching a movie, getting up, walking around, making sure you're setting your sleep schedule and eating schedule, and things will be much better. But yeah, it's a tough thing to deal with. So looking back at your original goals, I mean, you probably have, if not the best, one of the best English set collections out there. Your original goal that I don't know if you finished yet was get PSA 10 hollows of every WotC set, correct?
Yes.
Um,
Just yeah, every hollow and the highest grade.
first edition and unlimited.
Yeah, and I mean it really progressed over time. So at first it was first edition base, then it was let's do base jungle fossil, and then it was like, oh, this Team Rocket card's kind of cool too. Then eventually you include Gym Heroes and Gym Challenge, and then I had a deal. I did actually. I have a video where I did this. This was in 2015 maybe, where I traded someone a very very special item for about 15 or 16 Neo Hollows first edition PSA 10, and that's actually what kicked off my whole like Neo hunt to like complete the Neo sets. And so it's like it was way back. I had like no confidence I was recording it. I never actually posted it, but I should probably try to pull that up at some time.
Hmm.
And then over time you look at the E series, you include that, but that's like 96 hollows plus the crystals. But it just grows over time. You're like, all right, what's next? It's like collecting is never like there's never like an end. I mean, people say end goal all the time, but you always want to keep going. It's hard to stop.
Right. So, I mean, you got to the point. Have you started doing the non hollows as well, the rares, the uncommons and commons?
Yeah. Actually, I'm working that way down through rarity, because back then I didn't think it was worth it to send the money into PSA to grade the commons and uncommons. Like, why would I spend $8-9 like grading commons and uncommons? I'd rather just buy the hollows, or it just didn't make sense financially. So I started buying the rares. I've been buying them between like anywhere from like $15 all the way up to, I think I paid a crazy price recently, $160 for a Rocket Snorlax from Gym Heroes. I think it was Gym Heroes.
Yeah.
Could not find one forever, and it might be the most expensive non-holo rare that's not from base set.
Oh wow. I mean, that's just the fact that not many people grade it or even think about grading it. So.
Yeah. Well, that actually doesn't include the 1999-2000 fossil rares. I forgot about those.
Oh, okay.
But of all the rares, I think there's like 544 of them. I'm around like 505 or like 508 of the 544. So it's commons and uncommons are coming up soon, man. They're getting there.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially first edition stuff. You can. I mean, a lot of those popular Pokemon are going up in price. So. It's getting a little crazy. You'll get there eventually. That's an amazing thing that you've done. I mean, you even did a full thick and thin stamp of first edition base, right?
Dude, and literally some of these goals just kind of happened. So the thick and thin, I was aware of it, but I was like, dude, that's so expensive. Don't want to do that. I actually bought a full PSA 10 holo set from a guy for like $10,000. This was in like 2015, maybe. It was before Pokemon Go.
Okay.
And when I got it in, some of them I was buying were duplicates, so I knew that going in, but it was going to fill a lot of the gaps I needed. And when I got it in, the thick and thin were basically opposite of what I had, and so every card that I get in was actually like a unique card, except like maybe like one. I was like, all right, might as well go for thick and thin now, and then that's literally how it happened.
Yeah. You never sold a full set, did you?
No, I never sold a full set. I just sold. I sold 2 PSA 10 Charizard first editions from base.
And
really
you did
wish
that,
I would have sold them now, but
right.
You
did that through PWCC?
I did one through PWCC, and then one of them I sold because the first edition base box came up, and that price is around like $9,500, like all in.
Okay.
And so it was a deal that needed to happen really quick, or else it was going to go to someone else. And I know you're watching the video right now.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite stories.
It's a cool story, and basically what I did is I had someone that's been bugging me for a Charizard for a long time, and you hate to say it, but I gave in, and I sold him a Charizard for $10K around like that 2015, 2016 mark, and that money went straight into this box. And my rationale is like, dude, I'll just pull another Charizard. Like, it's a 12 out of 15 chance. Like, it's a pretty good shot. And it'll probably at least get a 9. Well, I haven't like announced this yet, but I actually did not pull a Charizard from this box. Which is, very, very unfortunate.
I don't think didn't you pull like only the Blastoise? I forget.
I pulled a Venusaur. That it graded well.
Yeah.
And then so I have the other parts of this video I haven't posted yet.
Oh, there's more parts? I thought you finished it. Oh.
I did, but I never finished posting the parts. And so people were getting upset. I was only posting like 2 packs at a time, and I was like,
that's perfect. That's perfect.
I was like, people are gonna like look at the likes and dislikes on this. It's like so bad. I was like, all right,
God.
people are gonna fight about it. I was like, I'm not gonna post it. I mean, I'm doing this for fun, and like,
dude, I need the parts. I need the rest of this. This is one of my favorite things to watch. I love this. I love these videos.
I mean, my total like YouTube earnings from last year was like $1,200. And so if you think about all the time and effort that went into like all of that, I was like, why am I gonna like take on all this hate? It's like it's not like worth the headache. So I need to post the rest of those. And actually, when the returns came back from these parts, I made a really, really solid returns video for this, where I talked about the commons, the uncommons, the like distribution of the 10s and the 9s, and the holos were graded really, really harshly at first. And it was like a tough video to make because I was like so excited for them when they came back, and I couldn't wait. First card was a 10, and after that it was just like a punch to the gut over and over again. Couldn't take it. And so I actually resubmitted some of them to PSA, and they all got upgraded except for one.
Wow.
So the first go around was just it was not fun to think about how much value was probably lost in that initial sub.
Yeah. Well, guys, stop hating on GemMint. I want to see the rest of these. No, that story is really cool because from my understanding, just from what you posted in the videos, and I remember this pretty well, is Jeff, Pokemon Master 556, had found a guy in Seattle, right? And a card shop owner that had this box, and you actually flew out there to do all the verification with it, and got to open it with Jeff in these videos. I know you let him open up some of the packs as well.
Yeah, so it wasn't Jeff that hooked it up. It was a guy named
okay.
Mealy Pops. He was from Gainesville, Florida. He reached out and he's basically like, hey, someone in Mealy Pops is a sports car guy mostly.
Mm-hmm.
Someone in the sports car world, one of his buddies reached out to him and said that a local guy in Seattle, so there's 4 people here, said he had a base set booster box. So he reaches out to me, and basically I was like, yeah, I'll do it for sure. And to give some context, around this time, there were so many fakes in the market. I was getting approached to buy like $5,500 boxes from multiple people, and they were literally resealed fakes. And everyone is just nervous as can be. No one wants to buy a first issue base box because more than half of them are illegitimate.
Oh wow.
And people just haven't touched enough of them, opened enough of them to really know. And so the best part about this was Mealy Pops let me take the cost of my flight off of his cut for this deal.
Mm-hmm.
And he got a pretty good cut out of it. But my total all-in price was like around like $9,500. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to go out there, feel the box, touch it. I wanted to open it. And I told him, I was like, I'm going to open this on camera. We'll record. I have a friend with me, and I just want to verify it's legit. And then I'll pay you after. So I actually hadn't even paid for the box when you're watching this right here.
Wow.
So yeah, the guy certainly trusted me to have the money. So it was,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, all right, man, if you're good, let's do it. And the really sad part is when I held the box in my hand and you could feel the plastic and you looked at it, it's like, I knew right away, like, it was just like, this is legit.
Yeah.
But because of all the fear that had been built up in the market, you were like, you have to open it. You have to know. It's like, if you have that option, why not? And I probably could have sold that box for $75K. Like,
right.
Literally, there were buyers in that price point between when this was recorded and today. So the buyers are probably a little bit lower than that now, but there are a few people paying probably around that price point. That's what the box could have gone for. So a little unfortunate, but again, if you think about the rationale, I sold a Charizard to get the box. It's like, let me just, grade another Charizard 10, like no big deal. Like, well, a lot harder than you think. And this actually helped supply a lot of the PSA 10s for my first edition base set.
Okay.
As well as a gray stamp set too. I got a lot of gray stamp 10s out of this as well.
Yeah, a lot of the uncommons were. I mean, this is an experience though that not many people are ever going to get to do. So I think it was well worth that 10K or that Charizard. Yeah. And I mean, even to today, that's still a huge fear for people. Even buying from one of these legitimate auction houses, getting one of these boxes, you never know unless you open it. The way that we saw how TCA's box was resealed. PokeRadar just did his video about it today on the one he bought a few years ago. Just the way that it's done, it's very hard. It can't be told unless you open the thing. So
it's true. And I mean, Z&G Emporium. I mean, he just got a first edition base box, and his rationale was great. It's like, I bought it from this high end store. They're going to put their name behind it. Like, we're in good shape. Like, if it's not legit, they'll refund me. And like, that's great. But it's like, it's also Z&G. Like, when are you going to open this? Are you going to open this in 10 years? Are they going to honor that 10 years from now?
Right.
Are you going to sell it to someone else and they tell you something's wrong with it? Like, how do you know that they're not going to switch boxes and stuff? And then, a lot of times, like these bigger stores, they'll reach out to people in the community, like Scott, Gary, and they'll reach out to me too. They'll say, hey, I got some pictures of this box. What do you think? And so I'm providing an assessment to them based on things that I see that I'm familiar with, but I'm not necessarily tied to it financially.
Right.
So there still is a risk there, and there's not some like expert out there that's from WotC that's going to be able to put their lifeblood like behind all this and verify it's legit. It's the people who are doing counterfeits are getting really, really good at it. And so you really have to be careful. And I think what Z&G did was probably the best circumstance, best opportunity. But even that person, I'm like, oh man, that's a tough purchase to make. But it's a great purchase to have, especially if you have confidence in it.
Right. And that's always been one of my main goals, to get one of those boxes, and to open it. But at this point, it's a little, it's tough to do so. So I'm still waiting on that garage sale find to
I
make
had
that
someone
happen.
I had someone on eBay reach out to me 2 years ago. He said he had two of them. You know, he owned a shop in Seattle.
Hmm.
He's selling them for his dad, and the guy I think lived in Canada. And he was wanting to sell them like between 35 and 40K. And I was like, you know, I mean, you could buy at that price and sell to someone else and make money. You know, but I was like, when he approached me, I was like, all right, how can I make this happen? You
Hmm.
know, how could I acquire these boxes? Because I had really had confidence in it. I looked at pictures; it basically looked good to go. And that guy's actually who ended up auctioning through the Hudgens, the was it Huggins or Hutchins auction?
Huggins and Scott?
Y-
Or,
Yeah, yeah, Scott and
okay.
Huggins. I
Yeah.
can't
However it
think, I
is.
can't remember the name,
Yeah.
Hutch or something.
Something like
But
that.
he's the guy that auctioned two of those through them.
Okay.
Uh, so he sent the first one off. Then I told him, I was like, hey, you know, if you want to do that next one, just sell directly to me. And then I think he ended up putting the second one through them as well too.
Okay.
Um, but
Uh,
you know, things like that do happen. So,
hmm.
and actually, that the one that auctioned off first, I was at the National Sports Card Show in Chicago, or maybe it was
Oh yeah,
Cleveland.
Chicago.
I was in. I think I went to the one. They alternate years between Cleveland and Chicago. I went
Okay.
there, and I held that first edition box in my hands, and I was like, "This is good." I
Yeah.
told him, I was like, "I have confidence this is a real box." It felt like the other one I had. You know, the plastic was good. The everything about it just it felt right, and I was like, I have confidence this is a legit box. And they were appreciative of that. I was just glad they let me like pick it up and hold it. They pulled it out of the glass case and all that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's one thing that I haven't even been able to hold myself is a first edition base box.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that comes around one day. But outside of the set collection that you have, which people can actually view on PSA's website, I believe, your checklist of what you have. Um,
Yeah.
you have quite the air collection as well, since you're a huge lover of the no symbol jungle. You know, that's probably the start of the errors, but this is probably one of your favorite things, at least from recent times, that you love showing people, is that binder of errors. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Dude, I love collecting errors because you know when you have sets, it's like a defined goal. There's an obvious end to like what that is. But when you have sets, it's like it never ends. There's always a new error. There's always a new variant. Or, you know, I get a gray stamp PSA 9 hollow, and all of a sudden another one comes up and it's a lighter stamp. You're like, oh my gosh, like that's even cooler. You know, it's like why
Hmm.
stop there? And so I've built a pretty cool error card collection, and I was only going for high grades there initially, and then over time I was thinking like, man, you know, these errors are just cool in themselves. Like, why do you have to have the quality element tied to it? Especially when PSA stopped grading some of them, I was a little bitter about that because you know they're so hard to find as is. So I started buying a lot of loose errors, which was probably ended up being a really good decision.
Hmm.
So I built that binder. I actually have a second binder I'm putting together as well, just to split it out, make it a little bit more organized. But I'd say right now I have, if you're familiar with like the Lions Good cases, they hold about 130, like 4 PSA cards or so.
Yeah.
I have one of those completely full of PSA cards that are OC, MC, and I
Hmm.
have some that don't even fit in that. And then I have another one of those Lions Good that are just for errors, literally just random like gray stamp
You got the
hollows.
no damage Ninetales. You got the heart stamp
Yeah,
Clefairy. You've got the cigar error Haunter, Hitmonlee, the smudge
yeah.
Haunter, all that stuff. I mean, what's probably your favorite error? Gray stamp first
Um,
edition, or I know you're chasing those like crazy even to this day. I actually found an unlimited Machamp one that I'm sending to PSA here soon. Hopefully they grade it, but
Yeah. If it
um,
gets a 10, man, I'll take it. I've got a 9 of the
yeah,
champ right now.
it's probably a 7.
But I I got the inverted WB stamp. Those are pretty cool.
Okay.
I think my set's like 8 or PSA 8 or higher. I might have the Mewtwo I have might be a 7. I was gonna buy the 9 that came up on eBay like 2 years ago, but it was going for like 20, like maybe like 2,000, 2,500, and at the time they're going for like 500 each, and it was just hard to justify, and I wish I would have picked it up now, obviously, but at the time I was like, it's hard to overpay for something, but typically when you overpay, that just becomes like the norm,
Right.
and so, but you got to like make that leap to actually go through with it.
Mm-hmm.
The Gray Stamp set actually came along really well. I actually completed the non-hollows, and so there are I think 71 non-hollows, maybe 72, and I have all those, you know, not including rares. And then the hollows are getting really close. So I have a full hollow set, in PSA 9 or 10, except for Raichu, which I'm working on. I found one, but the guy doesn't really want to sell, and when someone doesn't want to sell, it's best not to like negotiate against yourself. So
Hmm.
I could offer him 10 grand, he wouldn't take it. But it's like, why would I do that? Because then I can only get it for 10 grand. I can't get it for any less.
Right, right.
So I made him a competitive offer, and he appreciated that. But I think when he's ready, he'll sell. Then hopefully another one pops up. So like Gray St. Gyarados was like the hardest one to find for a long time. Just none of them ever popped up. And then kid you not, man, I came across like three of them, like all within like a month. And
Wow.
then I hit the nine. I got two more to grade, which I think I graded one of them. I need to find, but it's like I know there's gonna be another nine Raichu that comes out there. So if the guy wants to keep it, totally great. I don't want to take away from someone's collection. And I always say, if you're not ready to sell, don't sell. I don't have to have it. So I'm sure another one will come up, and then I still unfortunately need the Charizard. So I saw
Okay.
the price of first edition Charizard and move it again this week, or maybe a week or 2 weeks ago, and it's
Hmm.
gonna hurt to pick up, but that's the last piece.
Okay. Yeah, that'll be. I mean, I've only seen like one pop up. I think it's been the same copy, and it's like a
Yeah,
5 or 6. So,
I've seen a few Gray St. Charizard nines, and
oh,
they're not nearly as like they're all kind of darker. Like the stamp is like super super light. I think I may have seen one lighter stamp, but I forgot who has it. But a lot of the ones I've seen that are the higher grade aren't as light. I've actually seen a good bit of lower grades that are pretty light. I have a few that are like on the lower side that are extremely faint. But it's just hitting the quality and the grade that's the challenge. That's what makes it really really hard to find.
yeah, and some other unique items. I'm actually just pulling up your video here.
These
Um,
trophies.
yeah, these Pikachu trophies, the
Yeah.
world's championship trophies. Everyone's always talking and chasing the cards, but no one no one ever really talks about the trophies. I mean, someone might mention it like, "Oh, it'd be cool to get that," but I've never seen anyone actually get them. So I'm wearing the TMB medal as I always do for these videos.
Nice.
But tell us a little bit about these trophies. How did you go about getting these?
Dude, so for a couple years, I've like wanted to pick up a trophy. Like when you see them in person and they're like in the case, you're like, man, that's so cool. Like it's literally like a Pikachu. It's like I don't know if it's porcelain or like some I don't know like what material it is, but it's really really cool. And for a while, I was like, I think $500 is like a fair offer. And so I was trying to like buy one for a while. No one would sell, and it's like people would sell the card, but like giving away the trophy is like giving away like your child. Like no one would do it. And so I found a few people that might sell, and the prices that they wanted were like in the thousands. It was like pretty. It was like way above what I thought. And then basically a guy that is from um, I don't know if he's from like Malaysia or Indonesia or something, but he won from this year, and then his buddy that lives around the same area won as well, and they both decided to sell. And the price we agreed upon it was a lot higher than my initial offer.
Hmm.
But he came down quite a bit as well too. So it ended up making sense to pick up. But it just literally, I bought a little case for it. It's a UV protected case. I got it sitting on one of my shelves, and I look at it every day. I
Yeah.
literally, when I go make breakfast, it's right there. It's so cool.
That's
But
awesome. What did you get? Third and
I got two thirds.
two third places. Okay.
Yeah. So I know of a guy that has first that might sell his coming soon.
Hmm.
But it's I don't know if I can make it happen. It's I don't. He's probably gonna ask too much money. So
Yeah.
I'm sure what I'm thinking is someone else will probably buy it before I would meet the right price.
Okay. It'd be interesting to see something like that up at auction on eBay. I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons I want to buy a trophy card
Yeah.
is so I could just throw it on eBay for the entertainment purposes, see what happens.
Yeah.
Because there hasn't been one on in over a year, maybe two. But one of these, I don't think I've ever seen. I've never really looked for them, I guess. But
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, no one wants to sell it, and
hmm
these I think would go for a little bit less than trophy cards. If I
yeah,
were to think about like the going rates and the prices and all that, but literally finding someone that's willing to sell is the hardest part.
yeah,
Even if the price is lower. I think it'd be great to get a one, two, and three. Again, I don't even know where I'm gonna, who would even sell these. So who knows?
yeah.
But it's one of those like very, very unique items. Do you have a chat or something
I
that I can
do.
sign?
I do. We got a couple questions um, pulled up on Twitch here. I don't know if you can see them, but
Yeah, I
um,
can't. So I'm on Twitch. Where's the chat come up
it
at?
should be on the right side of the
Yeah.
video. Um,
I'm not signed in though. Maybe that's
okay.
it.
Well, yeah, I have them pulled up here, so we can dive into those in a minute. But well, actually, one of them, which
Yeah.
I was going to ask anyway, Simon Sim asked, "What's your biggest goal for 2020?"
Dude, biggest goal for 2020. Um, finish off the gray stamp set was great. I think if for 2020, if I could complete the WotC hollows, that would be huge. And I only have three left. Ampharos and Blissey Unlimited from Neo Rev, and then Slow King Unlimited from Neo Rev. And then if I could finish off the rares, that would be huge as well. I only have like 30ish or so left, but in that are about five 1999 2000 fossil rares, which those go for probably a minimum of like $500 each.
Mm-hmm.
And just finding them is the hardest part. So I need Gengar still, and Gengar's been going for around 3,000, and it's hard to
Right.
pay that much for a non-hollow rare.
Yeah.
And so if I could wrap that up, that'd be great. Really, the commons and uncommons probably won't happen in 2020 just due to the financial commitment, like literally just grading all those cards and then them hitting tens and resubmitting them.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about like tens of thousands of dollars, and I think it'd be better to just take that, like over time, just kind of really pace that out. Because then, like when you complete it, it's like, all right, what's next? Like, what's the next collection goal? And I think you really just want to, enjoy the hobby. There's no reason to rush it. I mean, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, it's going to happen someday, but it doesn't necessarily have to happen today.
Well, I've got one of those Ampharoses at PSA right now, so I'll let you know if it comes back at 10.
Dude, I would love to pay you. I would love to pay you. That
Well,
would be amazing.
that one's not so hard to get at 10, is it? Compared to
Top
the.
one.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, there's only one, and I had a chance to buy it for $700 a pass because I thought it was crazy.
Wait, the
I had a
unlimited or
chance,
first edition?
the unlimited Neo Rev Ampharos.
Oh, mine's the first edition. All right, never mind.
Well, dude, you hit a first edition, man. You're looking at 5,500 to 7K. That'd be my guess.
Okay, sweet.
You,
Looking
you could
looking
probably
forward
pull
to that.
7K if you find the right person.
I've never been given a 10 on a high value card. I only get 10s on like a couple $100 cards. And I've never done too much PSA submission. There are too many of them myself, but the times that I do, I get 10s on all the low value ones, and then I get 9s on all the on all the good ones. It's really upsetting.
I think I'm trying to find this purchase I made maybe like 2 3 months ago. I'm gonna send you a link to it in chat,
Okay.
and I'm
Let's
trying to
see.
remember when it actually occurred.
We got a question from PFM here as well,
Ooh.
touching on the first edition box opening. Do you do you regret destroying all those first edition pack wrappers in the video?
At the time, we talked about earlier about like taking care of the cards and just being so careful with them. At the time, I was like, who cares about like a little pack wrapper when you have this card inside that could be like a $25,000 card.
Hmm.
You're like, so I was literally thinking every pack was a Charizard. You just be careful. You don't want to damage it. And so, I mean, at the time, the pack wrappers they just didn't mean anything. I see some people they open a pack so carefully and then they try to yank the cards out, and it's like you're gonna chip the top, or so you're gonna do something to it,
Yeah.
and you're gonna miss a 10 grade on a card that really should be worth a whole lot more.
And I've opened two first edition base set packs in my life, and both
Still,
times
phenomenal.
those things open like they just get, there's no way to open those up perfectly, at least from
Yeah,
the two that I opened. They just rip like perfect, like butter. It's really weird, but they're hard to open with with the longer crimps. They're harder to open cleanly. So, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense. You want to focus on the card instead of the pack, even though the empty wrapper could be worth, I don't know, $50 today, whatever they sell for. Um, but yeah, that makes a lot of sense to focus on the card.
yeah. I can't find this item I was looking for, but what I want to talk to you about was with the trophies. I bought the Pikachu trophy, which is like the Core Cora from the Core Cora Illustrator contest.
Hmm.
So from what I believe is whenever you got the Pikachu Illustrator, like that card, there's only like 39 of them or so. They also gave you a trophy, and this trophy is like 2.5, 3 feet tall. It's huge. This is like this massive Pika, and it looks like a Pikachu from like the original trophy cards. It's kind of like a short, fat Pika, and
Oh,
I bought one of those. I think maybe like a month or so ago. I didn't make a video for it, but I just posted like a quick Instagram story. I actually just found it. Here, I'll send it to you. Um, I just put it in the main chat over here on Discord.
Oh, one of these guys. I think
Yeah.
I think PokeRadar has one of these too. Maybe it's a different
Yeah,
Pikachu.
but this is massive. Like it is huge, and it's like really really clean. It's in good shape, and I'm pretty sure that this is like one of those because I had June from Worlds. He lives in Japan. He comes to Worlds every year. He translated this for me. And it says the Pokemon Illustrator Contest or Pokemon Core Cora something came out in 1998. So again, I haven't confirmed it, like but everything sort of points to that you there's a good chance you may have got one of these with the Illustrator.
Oh
So I was like,
wow.
that was a really cool pickup too. I was again another a very unique find, but
Hmm.
and when I picked it up, a few people were like, man, I wonder who bought that, and they reached out to me, and again, small world. It's like you never know who else is looking at different items.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Is that in the Silver Book, the Pokemon Bible, or do they
I
not
don't know if
mention
it's
it?
I don't know if it's in the Bible, but no, I need to do a little bit more research on it.
That's cool.
But again, that person was from that northern West Coast, so some of it just makes sense.
Hmm. All right, let's see what other questions we have here in chat. We got one. What's your take on the value of the Skyridge boxes today? What are they going for? Like 20K, 25K?
Yeah, value of the carriage boxes. Some people might not like this answer. I totally agree with where the values are going and support and the prices are at. A lot of that makes sense. There's a lot more people in the hobby that are more liquid cash that they can make those purchases. But the challenge is when you buy a 25, 30, or $25,000 box, is what return do you expect? So if you're going to tie up 25 grand worth of capital, like what's your opportunity cost with that? And so is that going to be a $50,000 box, so you may double your money, or is that going to be $100,000 box? Who's going to spend $100,000 for that box? And it's like, would you rather buy a PSA 9 first edition base Charizard for 5,500, 6 grand, and then that could go to 30 grand? You're going to make so much more. And so,
Hmm.
it's like, are you buying it because you just love the box, or are you buying it for an investment? And most people that buy boxes are buying them for the investment component. And so, my take is, I think you're going to see kind of a ceiling on some of those box prices
Yeah.
where they're going to hit that 25K, but it's going to be really hard for it to push past that mark. You're really not going to see them explode the same way unless the supply is very limited and the amount of available buyers is healthy. It's just there's too many other things that could be purchased, and when things increase in price, it's better to increase slowly and steadily. These big jumps in prices, there's so many other things that have to move, and with those prices, everything's relative, everything's connected. So I would just be careful buying
Hmm.
at the higher price points.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they've hit a point where they're just going to move at a much slower and steadier pace now, um, because that huge spike that recently happened is just things like that in any market don't seem to happen. I mean, none of them have either corrected. They've just continued to creep up with it, which is surprising to
Well,
me. I thought they would dip again a little bit, but they haven't.
and I mean, I know probably three or four of the people that are buying the boxes like at those price points, and they have plenty of capital to do it. There's no question of whether they can or can't.
Hmm.
It's just if they stop supporting that price, the price is going to change. Um, and if they choose, and when they decide to sell, it could be in 20 years. Who knows? Who are their buyers going to be?
Right.
And so, I mean, I'm sure that they're much more into it than I am. They probably have many more opinions and stuff, but I just question the ability to sell at some of the higher price points. I'm thinking like way beyond the 25K mark, not where it is today.
Hmm. Well, and I even think Skyridge probably has the biggest difference between expected value from the box opening itself versus the sealed product.
Yeah, I
With every
mean,
other product, I think you can get closer to that value or have the chance to get to that value. But if you hit everything perfect in a Skyridge box, you're not going to get anywhere close to that 25K.
yeah, I
If you
mean,
get the PSA 10 Crystal Charizard, both of them, reverse and hollow, you're what at 5K,
yeah. I
if
sold my
that.
last Charizard for 3,500, the
Okay.
Crystal Charizard,
Yeah.
and then the reverses. There's probably 4 or 5 people that are going for the full 10 reverse hollow set. If they need the card, it's going for like 150. If they don't need the card, it's going for like 60.
Yeah.
It's literally like the difference in price between the whether if the pop is like 20 or if the pop's like 5. Between the people that are picking them up. There are a few times I threw up like a $200 bid on a reverse hollow, and I won. And there were a couple times I got outbid, and I was like, "This is crazy." Um, but yeah, like you said, expected value is much lower. It really doesn't make sense. But the supply for the Skyridge sealed product is much more scarce than other products. So
Hmm.
Skyridge is a little unique where it's the last WotC set, and the supply isn't nearly um, what the other sets are. And the demand for Skyridge, I think what you're seeing is a lot of the same boxes. You're not seeing 30 unique boxes over the last year. I think you're seeing a few boxes getting repeated in listings.
Right, right. Yeah, so it's got that uniqueness, that historic aspect to it. So it makes sense. It's higher than the other two E series and some of the other stuff. But yeah, it's scary to dive into something that with that much capital when you can,
Yeah,
like you said, buy so many other things that have a greater potential, at least in my eyes.
dude. An example I always like to say is if you had two cards next to each other, and let's say they're the same price. Like, let's say you have a Burning Shadows, like Hyper Rare Charizard, and then let's say you have like a Team Rocket First Edition PSA 10 Dark Charizard. They're both about $1,000. Let's just say for argument's sake. And if you have them side by side, if you wouldn't trade the cards for each other, that means one of them is undervalued and one of them is overvalued.
Hmm.
And I think if you take a very simple approach like that, it really helps you figure out like what's undervalued, what's overvalued. A lot of times people say, "Hey, can I trade you for this or that?" And I think I'd be like, like I don't. That doesn't seem like a good trade. Like I don't want to trade this item for that. And then you start thinking about price and value, and it's like, well, like something in that trade is very is valued not the way it should be. And so
Yeah,
I think that helps like with your personal assessment. So things are always going to be priced what the market is, but what's the core value of that item?
yeah, that's a good point. All right, let's see. We got one more question here from Pokey for Loaf. What is your proudest accomplishment in the hobby so far?
Dude, I would have to say the challenge of putting together the legendary collection set. Um, it was so in the beginning there was like no PSA 10s. It was so difficult to find. Some of them when I was collecting them, a lot of the ones I had were like pop one, pop two. Some of them were pop zero. Literally the last pop zero card to go pop one, Pokemon Master 556 graded, and he sold it to me. So it was like as soon as it got graded, it got sent over, and then when it came together, it was like three people I'd worked with a lot in the hobby. They all sort of they gave me the last five cards I needed. It came together all like in a weekend, and that was really cool. Just to kind of complete the set with people that I've connected with.
Hmm.
I think ATM Supply or Tim down in Niceville, Florida. He sold me two, and I think PokeRev sold me two, and then Jeff sold me one. And that was just really cool. That it literally came together on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like the three deals like just lined up. And when they came in, I'd worked so hard on that, and it took 2 or 3 years literally to put together. That I was just, it was awesome.
Hmm.
Um, when you think about all the time spent on eBay, all the headaches with grading. I mean, my PSA 10 percentages of grading those was awful. It was not good. And I don't know if I just had bad luck or if I was just grading when PSA was being tough. But I mean, some people graded them and they got really good grades. But I had a lot of pain in that set, and so finishing it was a huge accomplishment.
Yeah, I've done well on the reverse hollows on the very few that I did, but the hollows were terrible. Like
Yeah,
I got
and I mean,
I pulled the pack fresh Charizard. I got an 8.5. Pop one.
hey, hey, there you go, still pop one. I mean, those pop one chasers, man, they love that stuff.
But yeah, I mean, this is a set that gets hated on a lot. I like it. I think it's great. I love the firework
Yeah,
artworks. I love that. I like that. We were talking about it today in Discord. I think it's the lowest pop WotC set out there, and yeah, it's a third reprint set. Great, but um, I like it a lot. I think it's just the name of it, Legendary Collection, the box, how the
yeah,
aesthetics of it. It's just a really cool set. Um,
yeah. Another kind of like really cool part about collecting, and it's not something I put too much like weight in. A lot of the hollows that I've sort of built over the years, they were like the first hollow graded.
mm,
Like, so when you think of the first 10 for that card, like the one that I have, a lot of them, like they were the first one. So the Charizard, I didn't grade it, but the guy I bought it from that graded the first one, he sold it to me.
Oh, that's
And so that
cool.
was really cool. And then like the first Ampharos from Neo Rev, bought that from Jeff. So the first one ever graded I have, and then same thing with the Typhlosion, first one ever graded. So I don't really
Okay.
like put a lot of weight. It's not like, oh, like haha, I got the best one. The first one. It's kind of like cool to think about, just over the years, but um, I wouldn't value it any different than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
But it just goes to show like how long some of these things took. There was probably a time for like a year or two we were trying to grade that Ampharos, that Typhlosion, and then and I think the Ampharos I got from Crockart McCabe's,
Okay.
the Typhlosion I got from Jeff. That when it finally happened, it was such a good feeling, like to come through and finally hit that grade. But a lot of the things were really challenging for a long time.
And they still are. I mean, that Typhlosion is
Yeah, I
a
mean,
pain in the
who
ass.
would have thought that the 10K card? I mean,
Yeah.
just 5 years ago, like, hey, like what card's gonna be 10K? Well, Charizard. And
Right.
you're like, oh, what about Typhlosion? No way. Like
Right.
who? No, you're crazy. And here we are with multiple 10K sales.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. And each one that we've seen recently, someone has to be picky about and say there's something on it that
Yeah,
doesn't deserve a
you,
10.
you
But
know, like the one that sold had the print line. Like I don't really like. I'm like, oh, let's go with the print line. But when it had that factory like ink dot,
the red dot.
secretly, like in my head, I was like, that's a cool card.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, it's got an ink dot and it's a 10. I was like, ooh, I was like kind of like, oh, I kind of want that card. And of course, everyone's like trashing it. And at the same time, I'm like, all right, how do I figure this out? And I never message a guy because it's like that 10K for me, being in college, like because all the other stuff that I had going on, it like just didn't make sense. Well, this I think would have been last year, so not 2 years ago.
Hmm.
But it's like if it would have made sense, that would have been man, that would have been a cool card to have.
Yeah. Did you recently did that $100,000 sale YouTube video? Did you sell the red logo fossil box?
No, I still have that. I've actually had that for a while. That's actually the second box I've owned. The first box I had, I recorded a video of me opening it, and all the packs came out. They actually looked like these Neo Destiny packs you have right here. They looked
Oh.
like just not good at all.
Yeah.
Because I was like, dude, I'll crack a box. I'll be the first one to get PSA 10 packs. And this was like in 2015, maybe 2014. Yeah, I think
Okay.
it was 2014. And I was just like, easy. Like, oh, the first, would be $1,000 packs or whatever. And then as I pulled them out of the box, I'm like, I cannot create a single one of these. And I was so disappointed. So what I did is I weighed them because the price differences they're huge. And just recently in that video, I sold some of the heavy packs, and I sold out of the pack artwork sets. So I actually don't have any more complete sets available of pack arts
Okay.
that are heavy. I have a decent bit of light packs, but I think what I'm gonna do is open up a few light packs and try to build that set out.
Get that
So
Gengar.
yeah, well, I need the uncommons and commons still.
Okay.
So I'll probably have to open maybe 5 or 6 packs to get a full uncommon set. Then I can buy the rest. But I just don't want to pay someone like $100 on uncommon.
Yeah.
Just open up a few packs, and the duplicates should help me out.
Well, I think one exchanged hands in Australia a couple months ago. Red logo box. I don't know. I never heard about the value of it or what the value of whether it was just cash or trade, but I don't know if you heard about that. I was curious.
Yeah, well, this is something I talked to about. Actually, I talked to Rusty about this morning. He asked me if I'd got any traction on the red logo box, and I told him I was like, really? Like the one thing that's happened is I've had maybe 3 or 4 people reach out and say, "Oh, I have a box like that. Can I sell you mine? For like half the price."
Yeah.
And so I've had 3 or 4 boxes. Again, I was totally unaware of that were out there. Just people just were kind of sitting on them, and they're asking. They're trying to sell it for a good price. And
Hmm.
so I mean, it just the packs that will sell for $500. I think you can definitely do that. It's going to take some time, um, but it's tough to justify opening them. And then also, if I were to buy a box for 20K, am I going to sit on that for 5 years before actually either one, open it, sell the packs, or two, open it for the cards, or three, just find another collector that wants to pay more than 20K for it?
Right.
It's like that. That's not a good use of capital. Um,
Yeah, it's a
and
very
so,
very niche item. Very tough to sell.
yeah. And I mean, if I was a booster box collector and people are putting together sets and stuff, that would make sense. But yeah, I mean, it just doesn't make sense to tie up that much money. But I'm surprised how many more have surfaced since literally since the eBay listing.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
And,
well,
the shiny,
you threw a pretty big number on it, so it got people creeping out,
yeah,
wanting
I
to sell
mean,
it.
some people hate on like Gary for his Charizard listing, and maybe Pokemon Rev for his booster box listing and all that. But dude, if you have a cool item and you list it really high, you'll be surprised the amount of people that will message you and say, "Hey, I have that card. Like, what's it worth? Or
Yeah,
can I just sell it to you for half?" And they're not collectors at all. They literally just want to get some cash in their hands. So it's a great method to find people that want to sell their Pokemon items.
yeah. You bring attraction to your page on the stuff you actually want to sell, and if someone happens to buy it at that ridiculous price, fantastic. I'll just have the enjoyment of recollecting it because I can.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, even though things like that never sell at those crazy prices, but um, yeah,
I mean,
I've
you
got a
never
few
know. I
things
mean,
listed
someone may want
at,
to buy it. Who
yeah,
knows?
yeah, yeah. I mean, having that full booster box collection is something that very tough to do. So having a pretty big premium on it isn't ridiculous, but
Yeah, this I see this video got pulled up now. The shiny Charizard,
oh
dude.
yeah,
That was like totally unexpected. I was living in New York at the time. I had a really small apartment, and I had a neighbor like right next door. You could hear everything, and I'm trying to like be quiet so like she doesn't freak out and all this. And I literally just I bought these new Destiny packs because I needed the non-hollow rares, commons, and uncommons. I was literally trying to like build that set so to send off to grade. I was so frustrated because these cards they just look awful. But that Shining Charizard that came out of there, it graded a 10. Like it got a good grade. It was so unexpected. I literally like it wasn't even on my mind to pull a Shining Charizard. Like it was not even in the realm of like possibility. I was like, oh, we're just gonna open some packs. Like, there's no way a Shining happens. And then when it happened, I just like it was just surreal, like totally surreal. I've actually gone back and watched that video a couple times. So I'm like, I just couldn't believe it. It just like puts you right back in that moment of like being a kid again.
yeah. Well, it's funny looking at that last pack there with the Feraligatr, just seeing the uncommons behind it. The corners were all messed up, but the hollow happened to be like perfect.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like it's so weird.
Yeah, that's awesome.
If it's the other way around where the house messed up, the pack, like what was something was it tampered with?
Hmm.
No, that was such a weird pack. Like, why all the damage and not on the hollow?
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, that's again, that's the love of Pokemon that I always fall back to is opening up packs. It's so tough to do today, but going back and watching, I go back and watch your videos. I go back and watch TCA's video, his one video of opening that first edition box. It's always great. But
I appreciate it, man. I do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's something that I can't thank you enough for helping me get back into the hobby and kind of funding my way in the beginning to grow. I think I know. I did sell you a unlimited Neo Genesis box for like $900 back in the day. I don't know if you still have it.
It wasn't the beat up one, was it?
It was a little bit beat up, yeah.
I got a beat up one from someone I can't remember, and I have that. It's a little bit better condition.
Okay.
But I mean that might. You're the one you sent me might have been in better condition.
Okay.
But I still have that, so I think I got one of them on eBay right now. Then the other one, I have another one stored away somewhere.
Cool. Well, we came up on an hour here. I'm limited with the amount of time I can upload on Spotify. So this is typically where I end it. But again, man, thank you so much for your time. Always fun chatting with you, and looking forward, hopefully seeing you at Worlds in London. If you go through with it, I know you posted an E4 about it. So
yeah, no, for sure, Dan. I definitely appreciate you having me on, and I hope your podcast takes off. And I think we're going to look back and see all these other collectors that hop on, and 3 or 4 years, like, man, where were we in 2020? What were we doing?
Yeah.
And I think it's cool to have this sort of documented, all of it put together. But anything to help the community, anything to help the hobby, keep people engaged. And I always thought doing a podcast would be great. I'm glad you took the initiative with it. So that's the hard part. Nowadays you got to take action to actually produce things. So yeah. I commend you for it, and I really appreciate you having me on.
Thank you. I appreciate the good words. I'm having a lot of fun with it. So I'll get this posted, guys, up on YouTube and Spotify probably tonight. I'm not sure. I haven't set up a guest for next week yet. I'm trying to figure all that out. Like I say, with my move, I'm a little busy, but we'll figure something out. But again, follow GemMintPokemon on Instagram, on YouTube. hopefully we'll get that 2019 Worlds video up soon.
I'll try to commit a weekend, a Saturday. I'll spend a Saturday putting that together. Maybe it'll happen.
Awesome. Yeah, I hope to, or plan on doing something similar for London. So hopefully I'll go through with it as well.
We're gonna have some fun in London. I don't think they know what to expect. We're gonna spend a week up there, man. The week
Yeah.
before, so they do not know what's coming.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good time. Looking forward to it. All right, Zach, I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna end the stream here. Thank you guys all for watching. Thank you for the questions, and we'll hopefully be up again on next week. So have a good one, guys.
All right, see ya. Take care.